Sometimes the students who exhibit the most extreme behaviours have the most difficult lives outside of school. I remember a girl called Karen. Karen was in year 8. Fantastic at basketball, not great in lessons, but she was fine, rolling along, and her thing was sport, but she was engaged in lessons. Her behaviour wasn't a concern. I remember noticing that Karen's personal hygiene had lapsed, that she was coming in the same clothes, she was coming in tired, irritable, she was having running battles with teachers. Something had clearly changed. The rest of the staff wanted her excluded. They wanted her sanctioned. They wanted her punished out of her behaviour, but I knew that this was not the Karen that normally presented herself. Something else had to have happened. I remember saying as a young teacher to a senior member of staff, I can't work out what's going on. Perhaps I should just go round to Karen's house and see if I can speak to the mum or pick up any clues about what might have happened. I was told to stay away. I was told that my job stopped at the school gates and that I was not a social worker and that it was not my responsibility to go and investigate these things. But I was young and I was keen to make change, and I was happy, as I am still, to go the extra mile. And I resolved to go round to Karen's house. Fortunately, before I went tramping off there on my own as a young teacher, one of the pastoral heads, one of the heads of year, and I was working in a secondary school at the time, said that she would come with me. She said it probably wasn't a good idea, but she'd come with me anyway. Now, we'd been trying to phone home. We'd sent letters. We'd done everything we could do to speak to the parents, but all requests were rejected. So we went round to the house. And I remember the door opening, and Karen opened the door, and she looked at me, and all she said was, "I'll come and talk to you tomorrow." So we left. And the next morning, Karen came in, and she spilled everything. In fact, what had happened was that her parents, in the middle of the night, had done a runner. They'd left their rented accommodation, they owed money, and they'd gone, yet they'd forgotten to take Karen with them, and they'd forgotten to take Karen's very ill grandmother with them as well. So she was looking after her grandparent as the sole carer. She was getting up 5 times a night. She was in charge of the cooking, the cleaning, the washing. Is it any wonder that she turns up angry, irritable, frustrated, upset, unclean? It makes complete sense. I went back to school and I tried to explain to some of those teachers who were still demanding homework from her that they should lay off for a bit. I tried to explain that there were reasons for her behaviour, but yet some of them still could not look beyond their classroom door, and they expected her to deal with things that as adults we find it difficult to deal with, and complete all her schoolwork and do brilliantly at school at the same time. It's not reasonable. It's not pragmatic. The support that you give for your students extends beyond your classroom door. And with the students who exhibit the most extreme behaviours, you have to dig a little bit deeper.